salam, never, not to the extent that you consider them to be as leaders. And this is, of course, why the cursed Muawiyah said that I am not fighting you likay tusalluna wa tuzakkuna wa tahijjuna. I'm not fighting you for the sake of to pray and fast. We all know, if you have been and away in the that still exist until today, in no time did they have any will or interest in wanting to block people and stop people from praying or fasting or doing any of these things. What they wanted to do was to cancel and remove imams and also the followers of the imams as well, which is exactly why the very presence of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, even though they try to disengage with the time, they were still considered to be a threat to of that era. And this is why we can see that this has somehow creeped into us, where we know that in the case of, for example, these Arab countries, that there's no issue and no problem. We know that Mohammed bin Salman now is considered, has been given Khadimul Haramain al-Sharifain. He is the custodian, the official custodian of Mecca and the largest mosque in UAE, and many, many other examples. Person wanting to pray, but of who becomes a threat to their control and power. In the case of Palestine, that the commonality have, other than being Muslim, are rare. The commonality of, us and them following the same madhab. Majority of people of Palestine are not Shia, even though we can see in the last 30 plus years there has been a spike in the rise of Shia from Palestine. Such Palestinian Salafis and Saudi Salafis have considered it, have called it a crisis of the spreading of the, they call it the Shia crescent, al-Mad al-Shi'i, the Shia crescent, which of course starts from continents, India, and of course ends with Palestine and North Africa. A scheme to make this whole area convert to Madhab Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. For us, we don't really have that kind of mentality to come and become Shia. Whoever is guided to the truth, then that is the case. But of course, what we can see is, to be very, very fair, the only people have become the oppressed people of Palestine are the Shia. I won't say 100%, I won't say 90%, I would say the overwhelming majority. Compare this to the fatwas that you have seen, most probably in the last couple of days, where they are prohibiting participating in demonstrations. In Saudi Arabia, it is prohibited and banned to speak about anything related to Palestine in the khutbahs. Compare this to 2014 and 2015, where every single minbar and every single khutbah, the imam was screaming and shouting, in telling people to rush to see the movement of jihad. Right here in Australia, we have the same case where they were promoting and encouraging people to leave the country. Over 400 people from Australia left to Syria to fight against who? They were the fellow Shia, majority of them Alawis or Shia. And of course, we also have the case of the jihad. Say this, unfortunately, which has never the Ummah of Islam before the Syria crisis. It was never the case where women will volunteer to, okay, and if that is what you believe in, why all of a sudden are you now quiet? Why all of a sudden are you now quiet? This is where we can see that it most definitely is not a matter of politics or whose side one is on. It is a matter of haqq and batil. This is exactly, we can see were the very words of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Of course, just a footnote here that I would like to address my brothers and sisters. We all know how evil the Nazi mentality, the Nazi ideology was. Looking back at Nazism and the Nazi-occupied Europe, of Christian followers within Nazism, we can also see that there were men who Nazism as well. We have a saying in Arabic, and it says, "An-nasu ala dini mulukihim." People are subjects and followers of the religion of their leaders. If your leader is, for example, treating you in this particular way, that's the kind of mentality that usually you are going. We can see now in these Arab countries, all of them are either simply can see that majority of their citizens have no proactivism when it comes to this subject. You can see demonstrations happening in Melbourne and Sydney and London more than you can see happening in Arab countries neighboring of course, comes as a result of brainwashing methodology that is used by the Nazi regime, which is now adopted by Israel. Israel, Jews who were victims of Nazism are now implementing the very same tactic and methodology of Nazism.